Hey guys, Jessica Hadari here. Today I want to tell you everything I did to make this priestess headdress. It's actually super easy, and so I'm just going to walk you through step by step, and I'm actually going to take the headdress apart so that you can actually see the kind of the behind the scenes of like what's going on in there. So welcome. And I guess I just want to start off by saying that costume making for me, making headdresses and jewelry and costume pieces is certainly deeply creative experience. But it's also, for me, a spiritual experience. I find that creativity and spirituality often go hand in hand. It's like creativity is one of my gateways to divine, to opening myself to receive information and downloads. And then when my costume or my headdress is completed and I'm wearing it, to like fully embodying the information that I received or embodying the woman that I'm becoming. And so I find creating headdresses like this just a very transformative experience. So I hope that you enjoy and really also enjoy. I know I said it earlier, how easy this is. It takes a little bit of time, but you can create something like this in a weekend. So here is the headdress. Like I said, I'm going to be taking it apart. And I'm also going to show you some screenshots of what the headdress looked like as I was putting it together. So I'm going to start by taking it apart. And as I do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about culturally costume making in different cultures of the world. So before colonialism, there's one piece. Before the cultures of the world were colonized by Western cultures, every single culture in the world used costume making as a gateway to the divine, as a way of communicating and praying. So kind of like my experience that I was talking about earlier. There's another piece. And we lost that in the same ways that we often, many of us lost our cultural dances. I do believe that it is part of my path as a woman who's here on a spiritual mission and a woman who's here to lead a divinely guided life. I do take it upon myself to learn some of the dances of other cultures. So dance is another way that I experience spirit and an experience of devotion. And so for me, some of the Latin dances and the African dances are dances I've been learning since I was 17. But also costume making. Costume making and dances are some of the kind of the lost arts that used to be so ingrained in every single culture on this planet. I mean, every single culture on this planet engages in costume making and in their cultural dances and their cultural stories that they pass on. So that being said, we are in an era of reclaiming and also fusing our cultural heritage and mixing and mingling. And so I just want to give you full permission to design your own costume, your own headdress in a way that is just totally given to you. And you don't necessarily have to follow any particular lineage, but I did want to presence that piece of this costume making being such a deep part of the human experience and a part of our experience that has been lost by some cultures. And so your costume making, your creating your priestess headdress, being a reclaiming of your path as a spiritual woman, as a divinely guided woman. Okay, so you can see I stripped the headdress down to its bare bones. And if you're like, oh, what did she just do? it's okay. I try to design all of my headdresses so that they can be taken apart and they can easily be transported. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. So what I want to do is just first show you this, what is just a glorified headband. So you can see this is just a headband. There's like a little bit of glue stuck on there. Just a regular headband I just bought at the store because it's already formed. It's pretty wide. It's a couple of inches wide. I know it's a little bit hard to see. And then I ended up adding this wire piece to it. I'll show you a little bit about how I attached that in a moment. And then I attached these 3 pieces, which are really just teardrops. I'm sorry, not teardrops. They're like, it's kind of pointy, oblong, like almost like eyeball shaped. And I'll talk to you in a moment about how I made those. And I basically just glued those onto the headdress. And then this provides support for the feather pieces that I took off. And down here is just an extension of this same wire, extends all the way down here. And I attached this felt. This is all just felt. And some beautiful ribbons to it as well. So if I, even just this headdress is really beautiful to just wear by itself. So it's very versatile. So I want to just take a moment to show you, oh, crazy hair, to show you bear with me for a sec because I want to do a share screen. I'm going to show you, oh, here we go, perfect. This is the headband. And you can see that I've just basically taken wire and I've attached it with just duct tape. I mean, in the olden days, making a headdress, you'd be using like animal glues. And so in this day and age, partially it's just hard to get a hold of animal glues, but also if you want to do the vegan thing, sometimes just hot glue and tape is just the way you can do it. But you could also hand sew pieces of your headdress, but I wanted to show you kind of the most accessible way for you to create this with kind of our modern day tools that we have available. So I'm going to end, oh, actually, let me show you this picture as well. So here's the headband again. And here are the little felt pieces I was telling you about that have the ribbons trailing off of them. I'll show you that again in a minute. And then here are these, I called them teardrop shape earlier, but they're really more like these kind of oblong, pointy oblong pieces. And what I did is I cut these pieces out of felt. In this case, it's kind of this cool crocodile embossed felt. And so there's 3 pieces here. I actually cut out 6 pieces of the exact same size, and I glued wire in between. So I want to show you this because I also made some fans to go with the headdress. So I have these fans that I made to go with the headdress, and you can see that this also is just made out of that same crocodile felt. And on the other side is just a plain felt of that exact same shape. And then I've added this other piece here. You don't have to worry about that. But inside, in between the 2 pieces of felt, in between the crocodile felt and the plain felt, I glued inside, sandwiched inside pieces of wire. So I can bend it and mold it and shape it, okay? And so that's the exact same thing that I did with these pieces. Cut out the crocodile felt in the shape I wanted. I cut out another crocodile felt, another regular felt in the exact same shape. And I sandwiched them together. And before I actually glued them, I actually put in little pieces of wire. So this is the wire that I use. This is like it's a 16 gauge. You could use 18 gauge, but I think you need to use at least 16 because you want it to be kind of strong. And you just take the wire, and it's pretty malleable. I just got this at a craft store. You could also get it at like a hardware store, and then just kind of bent it into the shape, and then glued the pieces together, glued the crocodile felt and the regular felt together with the wire in between. And so that in that way, these two are bendable, malleable. And if they get a little messed up, like if I'm traveling and they get messed up, I just bend them right back into place. So I'm a big fan of putting wire in between these pieces. And same thing with this little piece that kind of trails down on my forehead. I can kind of bend it down or have it stick out a little bit more. So this is just wire and felt, wire and felt, wire and felt. That's it. Super, super easy. And then I glued them onto this headband. This is also just felt. I didn't put any wire in here because these aren't doing anything fancy. And I already showed you earlier the ribbons. Now I want to show you, before we get to the feathers piece, I want to show you a couple of other things. So this is another headband headdress that I created. So there's a lot you can do with just a headband, and then whatever awesome things that you can find around. Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. Gotta look picture perfect for y'all, I know. All right. All right. I hope you don't mind it being a little bit silly with you, but costume making should be fun. So this is just another headband. I'm not going to dismantle this one. And you can actually see a little safety pin in there because I actually do like I said, my headdresses to be, oh, there's a little stray one. I have no idea why that one is there. I like my headdresses to be versatile. So I've actually pinned, like safety pinned some of these pieces on here. So again, I have some felt underneath, some flowers, some ribbon, some feathers, and just kind of played with it, added to it over the years. And this is like more simple. It's super comfortable. I could wear this headdress all day. So a lot of fun. I think I just put it on backwards. There we go. A lot of fun. It's a beautiful headdress. And so that's just to show you that just with a headband, a little bit of felt, and a little bit of fun, you can create pretty much any headdress you want. Okay, so let's talk about the feathers. We have the headband. In this case, we have these 3 felt pieces that I added to it. And in this case, we have just some flowers and feathers just kind of stuck right on there. But we wanted to make, for this headdress, I wanted to make something, you know, that was really big. Now, this that you're looking at right here, I just put some like glue and glitter, but when it's actually connected into the headband, it actually doesn't show that much, but you can decorate. See, I like put some decoration, some beads and sequins right on this feather piece. So basically what I did, I'm going to show you the inside and the outside of this. So this is just another piece of felt that I cut out. It's another felt sandwich. The other side is a little less pretty, and you can actually see where I've attached the feathers. So this is just another piece of felt. There are feathers that are sandwiched in between the pieces of felt. And then there are some feathers here that you can see that I actually added these later. So this is a second layer of feathers. And I, over time, you know, some of the feathers broke off, like you can see a little gap here. So I actually probably need to go back in and add even more feathers. These guys are little Velcros. And you may or may not choose to add this to yours, but the Velcro, I'm going to show you how that actually connects to the headband in a moment. So the other thing I want to show you real quick before I do that is I wanted a little more width, and I didn't have feathers that were long enough. Hello, there's life happening in my living room. My lovebird is back there. So I ended up taking this wire, like a thin wire, and just twisting it to make this structure to then add a cluster of feathers onto. So over here and over here, I've got this even broader fillet of feathers. And I could do more of those. I just did those 2 because that was the shape that I wanted. So you can see this headdress I made a few years ago, and it's been very well loved and used. So some of these feathers are a little bit a little under the weather. But before I talk to you about how I attach this to the headband, I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of feather etiquette. So these are rooster feathers, and rooster feathers are easily procured. Roosters are not an endangered species, and the feathers can actually be procured while the roosters are alive. Although I believe that probably a lot of the feathers that you might find, or that you might be able to purchase, were probably actually plucked after the rooster was used for meat. So this is one way that you could think of just using the whole animal and kind of repurposing in a more sacred, ceremonial way a piece of the life of this feather, this rooster. And it can be tempting to want to use feathers from like eagle feathers or something like that, because it might seem more spiritual, but it's actually illegal, I believe, to buy and sell eagle feathers, because eagles are an endangered species. So it's one thing to think about. I mean, the rooster feathers are beautiful. They have a beautiful shape. It can be easy to kind of want to covet other types of feathers, but to be aware of the source of the feathers and whether or not that particular type of bird is endangered or not. So for example, Native American peoples will use eagle feathers. Some Native American peoples will use that for their costumes, but that it is legal for them to do so. And from my understanding, it's actually illegal to even own an eagle feather unless it is given to you ceremonially, like in a Native American ceremony or passing of lineage. So just some things to think about in terms of just consciousness and feathers and where you're getting your materials. Peacock feathers are also another, I believe, very easy to procure feather. I do not believe that the peacocks are killed for their feathers. They molt and are collected and live on peacock farms that seem like they're really beautiful and spacious. So do your own research, but I just want to talk a little bit about the feather piece. I get these feathers on eBay, but if you live close to a farm or someplace that actually sells them, that could be a really fun adventure. So do your research. All right, so here's how I attach the feathers to this headdress. So I'm going to try to turn this around like this, hold this like this, and I'm going to slip this thing that I've made in between the little teardrop shapes and this wire. Okay. And I'll show you in a moment how I made that wire. It's just a couple pieces of wire twisted together. So basically this just fits right in here. I'm not going to make sure it's perfectly straight right now for the purposes of this video. And then I can just take the Velcro and just secure it. And it's so lightweight that I don't find that it needs a lot of securing. Hi, over there. But just a little dab will do you, and I've got a lot of life in it. So that's the first panel, big and beautiful. And I could just leave it at that. I personally like to think about the whole 360 degrees of the headdress. And so I add another panel. Here it is. Again, it has seen better days. And I put a little bit of Velcro here and over here on the sides, on both sides. And I'm actually going to fit this like right into the headband. Okay. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll take the other one off so you can see it all by itself. So I know I didn't show that to you, but it adds a little more dimension back here. It's a little hard to see in video, but when it's on, it like completely surrounds my head. my feathers are, my head is completely enveloped in feathers. Okay, so now I'm going to take that front panel off so you can just see what that back panel that we just added looks like. So that's really, I mean, that could be cool by itself. It's kind of a little smaller, kind of cool little mini headdress, but basically I just added the feathers right into the headband. Yeah, so if I peel it right back out, I'm just peeling it right off of the headband, the inside of the headband. And inside the headband, I also put Velcro here, and that just lines up with the Velcro that I just showed you. Yeah, so that's really it. So this is like super simple headdress to make. I want to show you a couple more things, a couple more details. But this is a headdress that you could do easily in a weekend. I'm currently working on another headdress that is way more complicated. It's much heavier. It's, wow, it's cool. I can't wait. And I will definitely post a video once I have that. So here's the headdress, just all kind of done. Now what you could do is add a little bit of elastic, and you can just play around with it, like put it on your head and just find out where you want to attach the elastic, either back behind your head or under your chin or both, to make it a little more stable, especially if you're going to be dancing in it. But I told you that I was going to show you a couple more things that I kind of forgot to earlier. So when I showed you the headband earlier, I just showed it to you with some duct tape, like connecting the wires and the duct tape. But then I went over that with some really beautiful black ribbon. And I just put like a little bit of glue and just wrap the ribbon around so that what you see is just really soft and shiny. It's really beautiful, and that just goes right down into these guys here. So that's kind of it just looks really pretty. And then let me go ahead and put this on. I want to show you how I made that wire, because it's hard to find wire that's strong enough but that's also malleable, and so I find that I often have to twist two pieces of wire together. So this support back here that's holding up this first layer, what I did is I took a couple pieces of wire. You obviously, it would be a longer, you know, you can measure out the length of wire that you want. I'm going to take a pen. This is like just any old pen, and I'm just going to, anchor it. And I'm just going to twist it like that. And so I'm not going to sit here and just take up time twisting wire in front of you, but you can twist your own wire. And then this just makes it a little bit stronger because it's two pieces of wire twisted together. I would obviously twist it more all the way to the ends. And then you can take a little bit of duct tape and just wrap it around, and that will also reinforce the wire for you. So that's basically the wire that I used. I'm going to take it apart again for the support right here. The support wire that I showed you at the very beginning that comes all the way down through here and into this piece. And you can see that it's been wrapped with just some black tape just to make it really inconspicuous, okay? Let me show you a couple more things. I already showed you the fans. I also decided to take some felt. Same thing, just a felt sandwich. Crocodile felt in the front, regular felt in the back, a little bit of that same ribbon, and made a chest piece. It's a little crazy with my hair and my ruffles, but it goes along with my headdress. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you is the fans, which I showed you briefly before. But the fans are also just kind of a fun little add-on. And the same thing, just a little felt sandwich, a little bit of wire in between the pieces of felt, and then I just embellish them with a little bit of gold lace and some sparklies. So that is my Priestess headdress, and I would love for you to share with me your headdresses. I would love to see what you create out of watching this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. But really, I invite you to just be in your creative flow and to set an intention, light some candles, put on music that takes you into that deep spiritual place, and allow the headdress to arise. Allow the headdress to take shape before you. Because this headdress that I created wasn't exactly what I had in my mind, but it's actually better. It's better, it's more beautiful than what I originally planned. So whether your headdress is big or whether your headdress is small, I invite you to please be in touch with me, share with me your creations, and I look forward to seeing what it is that you create, what it is that you call in. So thank you so much for being here with me. I am going to sign off, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.